Ever wonder why some people seem to glide through life's toughest situations like they've got some secret superpower? You know the type. They're quiet, they observe everything, and somehow they always come out on top? Well, buckle up because today we're diving deep into the world of street-smart INFJs, and trust me, what you're about to discover will blow your mind. Most people think INFJs are just dreamy idealists who live in their heads. But here's the kicker. When an INFJ develops street smarts, they become absolutely unstoppable. We're talking about a personality type that combines razor-sharp intuition with real-world savvy, and the results? Pure magic. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's explore the 6 savage reasons why street-smart INFJs always win. By the end of this video, you'll understand why these rare individuals are some of the most formidable people you'll ever encounter. 1. The INFJ advantage: understanding the foundation. Before we jump into the savage reasons, let's get real about what makes INFJs tick. INFJ stands for introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging. But don't let those labels fool you. These aren't your typical introverts hiding in corners. INFJs make up less than 2% of the population, which already makes them pretty special. But here's where it gets interesting. Most people see INFJs as sensitive souls who care too much about everyone's feelings. And while that's partially true, there's a darker, more strategic side that most folks never see coming. You see, when an INFJ develops street smarts, they don't lose their natural gifts. Instead, they weaponize them. Their ability to read people becomes a tactical advantage. Their deep thinking turns into strategic planning. Their caring nature? Well, that becomes selective and brutally effective. Think about it this way. Imagine having X-ray vision for human behavior, the patience of a chess master, and the determination of someone who's seen too much to give up. That's what happens when an INFJ gets street smart, and honestly, it's pretty intimidating. The foundation of their success isn't built on aggression or loudness like you might expect. No, it's built on something far more powerful: understanding. They understand people, they understand systems, and most importantly, they understand how to use both to their advantage. 2. Reason number 1. They read people like open books. Here's the first savage reason street-smart INFJs always win. Their ability to read people is absolutely terrifying. And I mean that in the best possible way. Most people walk through life taking others at face value. They listen to what people say and assume that's the whole story. INFJs? They're operating on a completely different level. They're not just hearing your words, they're analyzing your tone, watching your body language, noting what you don't say, and picking up on micro-expressions you don't even know you're making. It's like they've got built-in lie detectors, but way more sophisticated. They can sense when someone's being fake, when they're hiding something, or when they're about to make a move. This isn't some mystical power, it's pattern recognition on steroids. Here's a real-world example. While everyone else is getting fooled by that smooth-talking colleague who promises the world, the street-smart INFJ has already figured out this person's game. They've noticed the inconsistencies in their stories, picked up on the subtle ways they throw others under the bus, and identified their manipulation tactics. But here's the savage part. They don't immediately call them out. Oh no, that would be too simple. Instead, they file this information away and use it strategically. They know exactly who they're dealing with, which means they can't be played, manipulated, or caught off guard. This people-reading ability extends beyond just spotting the bad actors. Street-smart INFJs can identify genuine allies, spot hidden talents in others, and recognize opportunities that everyone else misses. They see the person behind the mask, the potential behind the presentation, and the truth behind the performance. The result? They build better relationships, make smarter choices, and position themselves advantageously in every situation. While others are stumbling around in social darkness, INFJs are operating with night vision goggles. 3. Reason number 2. Masters of strategic patience. The second savage reason is something that'll make you rethink everything you know about winning. Street-smart INFJs are masters of strategic patience. In a world where everyone wants instant gratification, these folks are playing the long game, and it's absolutely devastating for their competition. Most people think patience means sitting around waiting for good things to happen. That's not what we're talking about here. INFJs practice strategic patience. They're actively working toward their goals while everyone else is rushing around making impulsive decisions that usually backfire. Picture this: everyone's fighting over the scraps of immediate opportunities, pushing and shoving to get ahead right now. Meanwhile, the street-smart INFJ is quietly building something bigger, something better, something that'll make all that scrambling look foolish in retrospect. They understand that real success isn't about winning every small battle, it's about winning the war. So while others are burning bridges to get ahead quickly, INFJs are building stronger foundations that'll support them for years to come. This patience isn't passive. They're not just sitting there hoping things work out. They're observing, learning, adapting, and positioning themselves perfectly for when the right moment arrives. And when it does, game over for everyone else. Here's what makes it savage: by the time their competition realizes what's happening, it's already too late. The INFJ has been 3 steps ahead the entire time, quietly maneuvering pieces on the chessboard while everyone else was still learning the rules. They'll watch someone else get the promotion they wanted, but they're not bitter because they know their time is coming. They've been building relationships, developing skills, and creating value in ways their impatient colleagues never thought to do. When their moment arrives, they don't just get promoted, they get the position everyone else wishes they could have. For reason number 3, emotional intelligence as a weapon. Now here's where things get really interesting. Reason number 3 is how street-smart INFJs turn their emotional intelligence into an absolute weapon. And trust me, this is where they become truly formidable. Most people think emotional intelligence is all about being nice and understanding feelings. But street-smart INFJs? They've figured out how to use emotional intelligence strategically, and it's honestly genius-level stuff. They don't just understand emotions, they understand how emotions drive behavior, how to influence emotional states, and how to use emotional information to predict and shape outcomes. It's like having a master's degree in human psychology, except they learned it through real-world experience. Here's how this plays out. While everyone else is reacting emotionally to situations, INFJs are managing emotions, both their own and others. They know exactly which emotional buttons to push to get the response they want, and more importantly, they know which buttons not to push. In negotiations, this is absolutely devastating. They can read the emotional state of everyone in the room, adjust their approach accordingly, and guide the conversation toward their desired outcome. They're not manipulating people in a harmful way, they're creating win-win situations by understanding what everyone really needs on an emotional level. But here's the savage part. They can also use this ability defensively. When someone tries to manipulate them emotionally, they see it coming from miles away. They're immune to guilt trips, pressure tactics, and emotional blackmail because they understand the game being played. They can defuse conflicts before they explode, motivate teams when morale is low, and build loyalty in ways that seem almost magical to outside observers. People want to work with them, help them, and support them because INFJs make them feel understood and valued. The result? Doors open for them that stay closed for others. Opportunities come their way because people trust them and want them to succeed. They build networks of genuine relationships that become incredibly powerful over time. 5. Reason number 4, adaptability that leaves others behind. Reason number 4 is something that separates the winners from everyone else in today's rapidly changing world. Street-smart INFJs have adaptability that leaves their competition in the dust. Most people resist change. They get comfortable with how things are and fight to maintain the status quo, even when it's clearly not working anymore. INFJs, especially the street-smart ones, see change as an opportunity, not a threat. Here's what makes them different. They're not attached to specific methods or approaches. They care about outcomes, not processes. This means when the world shifts, they shift with it, often before others even realize change is necessary. Think about how the business world has evolved over the past decade. While traditional thinkers were insisting that this is how we've always done it, street-smart INFJs were already adapting to new technologies, new communication styles, and new ways of creating value. They don't see change as something happening to them. They see it as something they can influence and benefit from. This perspective shift is absolutely crucial because it transforms them from victims of change into masters of it. But here's the savage part. Their adaptability isn't just reactive. They're often anticipating changes before they happen. Remember that people reading ability we talked about? It extends to reading cultural trends, market shifts, and societal changes. They spot patterns that others miss, connect dots that seem unrelated, and position themselves ahead of curves that most people don't even see coming. By the time everyone else catches up to where the world is heading, INFJs are already there, established and thriving. This adaptability also makes them incredibly valuable to organizations and communities. They're the ones who can bridge old and new, translate between different generations or cultures, and help groups navigate transitions smoothly. The result? They become indispensable. They're not just surviving change, they're leading it, shaping it, and profiting from it while others are still trying to figure out what happened. 6. Reason number 5. They build authentic networks that actually matter. Reason number 5 is about something most people get completely wrong: networking. While everyone else is collecting business cards and adding LinkedIn connections, street-smart INFJs are building authentic networks that actually matter, and the difference is game-changing. Most networking feels fake because, honestly, it usually is. People show up to events, make small talk, exchange contact information, and then wonder why nothing meaningful comes from it. They're treating relationships like transactions, and it shows. INFJs approach this completely differently. They're not trying to network with everyone, they're trying to connect authentically with the right people. Quality over quantity, every single time. Here's how they do it. Instead of focusing on what they can get from people, they focus on what they can give. They listen more than they talk, they remember personal details that others forget, and they follow up in meaningful ways that show they actually care. They're not working a room trying to meet as many people as possible. They're having deep, genuine conversations with a few people who they actually connect with. And those connections? They turn into lasting relationships that provide value for years. But here's the savage part. These authentic relationships become incredibly powerful networks. When an opportunity arises, people think of the INFJ first because they've built real trust and rapport. Recommendations carry more weight, introductions are more meaningful, and doors open more easily. Their network isn't just professional contacts. It's a web of genuine relationships that spans industries, generations, and geographic locations. These aren't people who might help them someday. These are people who want to help them because they have real relationships. The result? Opportunities come to them instead of them having to chase opportunities. Problems get solved through phone calls to trusted friends. Resources become available because people in their network genuinely want to see them succeed. While others are still trying to figure out how to work their network, INFJs are benefiting from relationships they've been nurturing for years. It's not about using people, it's about building a community of mutual support and genuine care. 7. Reason number 6. They know when to reveal their hand. Here's the final and perhaps most savage reason why street-smart INFJs always win. They're absolute masters at knowing when to reveal their hand. This strategic timing is what separates the amateurs from the professionals. Most people either show their cards too early or hold them too long. They either give away their advantages by being too open about their plans, or they miss opportunities by being too secretive about their capabilities. Street-smart INFJs have figured out the perfect balance. They're excellent at flying under the radar when it serves them, but they also know exactly when to step into the spotlight and claim their victories. Here's how this plays out in real life. While everyone else is posturing and trying to look impressive, INFJs are quietly building their capabilities. They're learning, growing, and developing skills without making a big show of it. To outside observers, they might seem like they're not doing much. But then, at exactly the right moment, they reveal what they've been working on, and everyone's jaws drop. The project they've been quietly perfecting suddenly gets presented at the perfect time. The skills they've been developing in private become exactly what's needed for the new opportunity. The savage part? By the time they reveal their hand, it's already too late for competition to catch up. They didn't just develop the solution, they developed it thoroughly, tested it, refined it, and perfected it while everyone else was still arguing about the problem. This timing isn't luck, it's strategic intelligence. They understand that premature revelation leads to unnecessary competition, while delayed revelation leads to missed opportunities. They've found the sweet spot where their reveal has maximum impact. They also know how to reveal information gradually, maintaining intrigue and building momentum. They don't dump everything at once. They unveil their advantages strategically, creating a narrative that builds to their desired outcome. The result? When they finally show what they're capable of, it doesn't just impress people, it positions them as the obvious choice for whatever opportunity is available. 8. The hidden power of INFJ intuition in street-smart situations. Let's talk about something that makes street-smart INFJs absolutely lethal in real-world situations. Their intuition isn't just some mystical feeling, it's a sophisticated early warning system that keeps them ahead of problems and opportunities. Most people dismiss intuition as unscientific or unreliable. They want hard data, clear facts, and logical reasoning for every decision. And while there's nothing wrong with that approach, it misses a crucial piece of the puzzle that INFJs have mastered. INFJ intuition is really pattern recognition operating at lightning speed. Their brains are constantly processing subtle cues, microexpressions, environmental changes, and behavioral patterns that conscious thought would take forever to analyze. In street-smart situations, this becomes incredibly powerful. They get bad feelings about people who later turn out to be trouble. They sense when situations are about to go sideways before anyone else sees the warning signs. They just know when opportunities are real versus when they're too good to be true. But here's what makes it savage. They've learned to trust this intuition while others are still debating whether the data supports the conclusion. By the time logical analysis catches up to what their intuition already told them, they've already taken action, either to avoid problems or capitalize on opportunities. This doesn't mean they ignore facts or logic. Street-smart INFJs have learned to use intuition as a starting point, then verify with rational analysis when time allows. But when quick decisions are needed, their intuitive hit rate is honestly scary good. They'll walk away from deals that look great on paper because something feels off. They'll pursue opportunities that seem risky because their intuition tells them it's right. And most of the time, they're proven correct. 9. How street-smart INFJs handle conflict and competition. Here's something that might surprise you about street-smart INFJs. They're absolutely savage when it comes to handling conflict and competition, but not in the way you'd expect. Most people think being good at conflict means being loud, aggressive, or confrontational. They picture shouting matches, power plays, and dramatic confrontations. INFJs play a completely different game, and it's honestly more effective than any of those traditional approaches. When conflict arises, street-smart INFJs don't engage emotionally. They step back, analyze the situation objectively, and identify the real issues behind the surface drama. While everyone else is reacting to what's happening, they're understanding why it's happening. This gives them enormous advantages. They can address root causes instead of just symptoms. They can find solutions that work for everyone instead of just trying to win at others' expense. They can defuse situations that others would escalate into bigger problems. But here's the savage part. When they do need to compete directly, they're absolutely ruthless in the most professional way possible. They don't play dirty, but they play to win, and their combination of strategic thinking, people skills, and patience makes them formidable opponents. They'll out-prepare their competition, outthink their opponents, and outmaneuver people who thought they had advantages. They don't need to be loud or aggressive because their competence speaks for itself. In workplace conflicts, they're the ones who document everything, build coalitions of support, and present their cases so thoroughly that opposition crumbles under the weight of evidence and logic. They turn conflicts into opportunities to demonstrate their value and professionalism. The result? They earn respect even from people who started as adversaries. They build reputations as people who can handle difficult situations with grace and effectiveness. And they create environments where future conflicts are less likely because people know they'll be handled fairly and intelligently. 10. The INFJ advantage in leadership positions. When street-smart INFJs end up in leadership positions, and they often do, They bring a style that's both effective and refreshing in today's leadership landscape. Traditional leadership often relies on authority, charisma, or dominance. These approaches can work, but they often create resistance, resentment, or dependence. INFJ leaders operate differently, and the results speak for themselves. They lead by understanding rather than commanding. Instead of telling people what to do, they help people understand why it needs to be done and how it connects to larger purposes that matter to them personally. This approach creates genuine buy-in rather than mere compliance. People don't just follow INFJ leaders because they have to, they follow because they want to, because they believe in the vision and feel valued as individuals. Street-smart INFJ leaders are also incredible at developing other people. They see potential that others miss. They understand what motivates each team member individually, and they create environments where people can grow and contribute their best work. But here's what makes them savage leaders. They combine this caring approach with strategic thinking and decisive action. They're not pushovers who avoid difficult decisions. When tough choices need to be made, they make them, but they do it thoughtfully, communicatively, and with consideration for all stakeholders. They build teams that are both high-performing and genuinely collaborative. They create cultures where people want to go above and beyond because they feel part of something meaningful. They achieve results that look impossible from the outside but feel natural to the people doing the work. The savage advantage? Their teams become incredibly loyal and productive. People don't want to disappoint these leaders, not out of fear, but out of genuine respect and shared commitment to success. 11. Why street-smart INFJs are natural problem solvers. One of the most valuable skills in any field is problem solving, and street-smart INFJs have developed this into an art form that consistently gives them advantages over their competition. Most people approach problems linearly. They identify the issue, brainstorm solutions, pick one, and implement it. If it doesn't work, they try another approach. This isn't wrong, but it's not optimal. INFJs approach problems holistically. They don't just look at the immediate issue, they examine the entire system that created the problem. They consider multiple perspectives, anticipate unintended consequences, and design solutions that address underlying causes rather than just surface symptoms. This systems thinking is incredibly powerful because it leads to solutions that actually stick. While others are fixing the same problems over and over again, INFJs solve them once and move on to bigger challenges. They're also excellent at creative problem solving. Their intuitive nature allows them to see connections that others miss, combine ideas from different fields, and come up with innovative approaches that surprise everyone, including themselves sometimes. But here's the savage part. They don't just solve problems, they solve them in ways that create additional value. Their solutions often improve processes, strengthen relationships, or open up new opportunities that nobody saw coming. In organizational settings, this makes them incredibly valuable. They become the people others turn to when standard approaches aren't working. They build reputations as miracle workers who can untangle complex situations that have everyone else stumped. The result? They become indispensable to teams, organizations, and communities. Problems that would derail others become opportunities for them to demonstrate their value and advance their positions. The long-term thinking that sets INFJs apart? Here's something that really separates street-smart INFJs from the pack: their ability to think long-term while everyone else is focused on short-term gains. In our instant gratification culture, most people optimize for immediate results. They want quick wins, fast returns, and rapid progress. This isn't necessarily bad, but it often comes at the expense of sustainable success. INFJs naturally think in longer time horizons. They're considering how today's decisions will affect next year's opportunities. They're building foundations that will support decade-long goals. They're making choices based on where they want to be, not just where they are. This long-term thinking influences everything they do. They invest in relationships that might not pay off for years. They develop skills that aren't immediately valuable but will be crucial later. They position themselves for trends that haven't fully emerged yet. The savage advantage? While others are fighting over short-term opportunities, INFJs are building long-term competitive advantages that compound over time. Their early investments in relationships, skills, and positioning pay massive dividends later. They also avoid many of the traps that catch short-term thinkers. They don't burn bridges for immediate gains. They don't sacrifice reputation for quick wins. They don't make decisions that solve today's problems but create tomorrow's crises. Instead, they build sustainable success that gets stronger over time. Their careers advance more steadily, their relationships deepen more meaningfully, and their impact grows more significantly than people who are always chasing the next quick score. By the time others realize the value of long-term thinking, INFJs have already been practicing it for years, and the gap becomes almost impossible to close. Conclusion. So there you have it, the 6 savage reasons why street-smart INFJs always win, plus all the supporting factors that make them such formidable individuals in any situation. Let's recap what we've discovered. They read people like open books, giving them tactical advantages in every interaction. They master strategic patience, playing the long game while others scramble for immediate gratification. They weaponize their emotional intelligence to build influence and immunity to manipulation. Their adaptability keeps them ahead of change instead of behind it. They build authentic networks that provide real value rather than just contact lists. And they know exactly when to reveal their capabilities for maximum impact. We've also explored how their intuition serves as an early warning system, how they handle conflict with professional savagery, how they lead with both heart and strategic thinking, how they solve problems systemically, and how their long-term thinking creates compounding advantages. The key insight here is that street-smart INFJs aren't succeeding despite their personality type. They're succeeding because they've learned to leverage their natural gifts in practical, strategic ways. They've taken their sensitivity and turned it into social intelligence. They've taken their idealism and grounded it in realistic action. They've taken their introversion and used it for strategic observation and planning. If you're an INFJ watching this, hopefully you're starting to see your own potential in a new light. Your natural gifts aren't weaknesses to overcome, they're strengths to develop and deploy strategically. If you're not an INFJ, hopefully you've gained appreciation for the quiet powerhouses in your life who might be operating with these advantages right now. The colleague who always seems to know what's coming next, the friend who gives incredible advice, the leader who builds amazing teams, they might just be a street-smart INFJ. The bottom line is this. In a world that often rewards the loudest voices and the most aggressive tactics, there's something beautiful and powerful about the quiet confidence of someone who wins through understanding, patience, authenticity, and strategic thinking. Street-smart INFJs prove that you don't have to be the biggest or the loudest to be the most successful. Sometimes, the most savage approach is the one that looks gentle on the surface but is absolutely unstoppable in its execution. And that, my friends, is why street-smart INFJs always win.